Hi guys. So today I want to talk about a very special area in Dark Souls 2 called the frigid outskirts. To get here, you need to find the bonfire called Expulsion Chamber within the third downloadable content called the Crown of the Ivory King. When you enter the third DLC in Dark Souls 2, it gives off a vibe of isolation. You start on a pathway leading to a castle with a large gate in front of you. The feeling of isolation exists because this large castle sits seemingly in the middle of nowhere. When you turn around, all you can see around you is a barren, frozen wilderness. There is vast plains and mountains covered in snow as far as the eye can see. My mind instinctively thought, wow, I wonder what is out there. What if we could explore this? I thought I would never get a chance to do that, and that I could only explore the castle itself. Well, when you finally get to the expulsion chamber and see that coffin waiting for you, you now have your chance to explore outside. The first sign of trouble comes from the messages themselves. Just have a look at these. I think this pretty much tells you that you're in for a rough time. Now, unfortunately, I had an inkling of what I was getting myself in for, because I will admit, I did know about this area and that it was difficult. While playing through Dark Souls 2, I would occasionally look at YouTube videos. Not to cheat, of course, but just to further enjoy some additional content from like-minded fans of the game I was currently engrossed in. I started to see videos talking about the hardest areas in the Souls series, and also the worst boss runbacks. In both of these types of videos, a common area emerged: the frigid outskirts. I didn't know at the time exactly where it was, and I purposely didn't look to find out. But the longer I played Dark Souls 2, and the more videos I watched, I eventually learned that it was in the final DLC. And when I finally reached it, I was both excited and terrified to get to this area. Terrified is actually a good way to describe it, because I left this area until the very end. When I first arrived at the bonfire and found the coffin, I went down there out of curiosity, promptly died by killer reindeer, then never went back, with the goal to save it for later as a final challenge. I then defeated the final boss of Liam Loyce and prepared myself for the frigid outskirts, but never went ahead with it. Every time I thought about it, I foresaw suffering and pain ahead and procrastinated. I was terrified to deal with one of the longest runbacks in the Souls series. Now, almost 6 months later, and playing many games in between, I knew I was overdue to finish it, and the time had arrived. At this point, I must also mention another conscious decision I made, and part of the reason this area seemed fitting as the final challenge. Having beaten each of the final bosses of the DLCs, I now had the upgraded version of the crown, which grants the ability to not become hollow after dying. I figured that if I'm going to die a lot, then I don't have to worry about losing humanity each attempt, and I can keep summoning the NPCs each run. So, how hard was it? And was it as terrifying as expected? With the summons, it definitely makes this level more manageable, especially the boss. If you do decide to fight the reindeer, they are much easier and faster to kill. I was able to reach the boss on my first attempt, but died. On the second attempt, the runs between the buildings were more efficient, minimizing the time out in the storm. When a reindeer comes, you roll through the attack, then keep going and don't worry about fighting them. I only fought because I had the summons. If I didn't, then it's most wise to not fight and just run. On the second attempt, I successfully beat the boss, but barely. I did think it would take me many more attempts, and that the level was longer than it actually was. But was doing it with summons cheating? Who knows? Although I feel it's my duty to play again and try it without summons next time. Now that seems terrifying. The boss was tough enough with summons, and it would definitely need some dedication and a good build to get through solo. I can truly imagine frustration setting in when you continually die, then faced with that run back, given that there's no bonfire. Yes, the more I think about it, the more it needs to be tried, and the attempts counted. Let's mark that as a future video. In the meantime, let me know your thoughts on the frigid outskirts in the comments, and feel free to subscribe to help out the channel. Thanks for watching. Till next time.